Black metal hails from Finland, this is Rauta, and this band in question today is Kryptamok, with its second album, Kataklysmi. You guessed it right, means Cataclysm. Now, rarely I've been this biased to review a release, this one through Purity Through Fire, in July 2022. And I'll tell you the biased reason. First of all, now there are bands which I know, their members and all that stuff, for example, in Finnish black metal scene. Why so? Because I've been in this scene, circle, whatever you want to call it, since, mid-90s, roughly, late 90s at least. And of course because of that, because I've been in the bands, because I've reviewed, thousands, literally thousands of albums throughout the years, throughout 20 plus years. Of course I know a lot of people, but that's not how you get biased. Even if you know the guys of a certain given band, that's kind of okay. Some of them are your friends, some of them are just like your hello buddies and all that stuff. And you're still okay to review the albums. After all, if you were always like going to just not review album because you know a certain person, well, it wouldn't take too many years until you just couldn't do any kind of reviews at all, because you end up knowing a lot of people when you just go to shows and festivals and all that stuff. But this time it's different. Why this disclaimer is because, okay, let's rewind a little bit to the middle. First of all, this main guy in the middle, I know him in the 90s. He actually replaced me with Nightside for the vocals. And he has been in a various bands throughout the years, which I have reviewed. For example, the previous Kryptamok. The guy on his, on the left side here, well, he's also a buddy I've known in the 90s. Once again, he's not the reason why I feel so biased, but the drummer here, this blonde guy. Why so? Because he's my ex and current black metal band member. He also happens to play drums in Nightside, not just in Kryptamok and various other bands. More or less, some bands more session member and all that stuff, but with Kryptamok he is the drummer and also in Nightside. So now you probably understand why I'm a little biased. I really can't comment him drumming. He is very good, I can tell you that much. And he's also the songwriter in Nightside, so I am very, very biased. But here he's not doing the songs, he's doing the drums. So I feel I can actually comment the music even with this bias element mentioned. If you still think I'm too biased to review this album, just forget what I'm saying and skip this review altogether and just listen to the music for yourself. That's what I would tell you to do. Don't matter what I say, it doesn't matter at all, because my opinion is my opinion only, and what you might find about this album or any other album is of course your business, and that's pretty much of it. Now, this disclaimer being said, we can focus on the actual content of this album. Now, as you might know, because I've reviewed 2 previous releases by Kryptamok, that is since the very beginning of the conception of the band, well, you might already know the style here. Kataklysmi is the second album, and this already indeed came out during July, having a little bit more than 30 minutes of music written in Finnish, and the music is indeed kind of a fast tempo, melodic black metal Kryptamok way. Now, not much has changed since the first demo. Of course, the band has been evolving in a way, and some things more like details have changed along the years, but mostly this is what Kryptamok has been always all about. What it is all about, well, you would have to ask that in details from the master of the band himself, but in essence, like I said, this is melodic Nordic black metal, and mostly, but not fully, fast tempo. There are also parts where it just kind of slows down and becomes more atmospheric. There are also more folkier elements than before. Especially some of those synth parts remind me of bands which are not really purely associated with black metal. You might think of bands like Moonsorrow or the like, or even folkier ones like Fintroll. Some of the keyboard parts are more like, okay, you can a little bit folky and dancey, but still maintaining the kind of a dark feeling throughout the album, which is given, of course, when we're talking about a black metal album. Also, there is a spoken part in the middle of the album, which is nicely conducted, but in my opinion feels just way too long. That it's almost like an interlude that just cuts the album in half like this, and they're waiting for the engine to restart. It doesn't really ruin the album, but it kind of kills the mood. It's almost like you're driving your car, you're enjoying your 100 miles per hour kind of driving, yeah, and then there's this truck before you really can't pass it because, there's too much traffic, and then you end up like, okay, it's back to 50 miles per hour because, So it's just killing the flow, but not ruining the album. It's not ruining anything at all. It's just more like a kind of a momentum change, if you will. A momentum shift maybe might be the right choose of wording. Anyway, all these details like folkier keyboard parts or spoken interlude parts, they're not ruining. They're just changing the overall feeling with the album. And as a result, I think this album is good, but not as good as the two previous ones. That includes the demo, of course. So, Kryptamok is on the verge of a change, I think. It's basically staying true to its roots and being very honest Kryptamok album. But it also feels a tad bit different, as it's always like growing up and wanting to become something different than it was. Mind you, it's not drastic, it's not dramatic change they are having here, but just a little bit of tweaking here and there. Some people might like this version or iteration of Kryptamok even more than the previous ones. For me, there is a little bit different. Anyway, like said, being mentioned, this one is a good album, and just don't mind my rant about these details. They are merely details, not ruining everything. Mostly this is just, good black metal, the very, very Finnish ways, in a very timeless ways. This could have come out some 20 years ago, and you couldn't really tell the difference based on production and all that stuff. But like I said, I'm a little biased when it comes to drums and all that stuff, because I know the guys and the drummer is in my band, or his band, or whatever you want to call it. So, in case you feel like I'm being way too positive because I know the guys and one guy is my bandmate, just ignore the score and figure out for yourself. Since this album has been already out for some 4 or 5 months, you can pretty much listen to it online anyway and then decide whether or not this is your cup of tea, and if I'm being honest here with my good review score and all that stuff. Now, this review score here in Metal House saying 78% is very, very close to what I would say. So 8 out of 10 for me. Not as good as the previous ones, but still good and fitting for my own personal collection. With this piece of information, up to you to do your stuff and listen to it or listen not. Well, this is all I could say. If you have any questions or comments, put them on the comments box below and I will get back to you. See you with next review. Cheers.